It's not uncommon to hear stories of bully victims being defended by the internet. But what happens if the unruly mob that is the World Wide Web turns against said individual? Well, that is the story we'll be discussing today. Our first story today starts in the land down under on February 19th, 2020, in the city of Brisbane. The day started like any other for Yarika Bayles when she drove to pick up her son Quaden from school. However, upon arrival, things quickly became familiar in a more tragic context. Because the 9-year-old was born with a growth disorder most commonly referred to as dwarfism, he was often the subject of bullying from his peers. And this day was no different when the mother discovered classmates ridiculing his appearance. After quickly intervening to rescue her son from the jeering, Quaden started sobbing uncontrollably. Between tears, he began to vent about the constant mockery. Furious, Yarika began live streaming to Facebook, filming her son's emotional breakdown while deciphering the consequences of lifelong ridicule.
Educators, teachers, this is the effect that bullying has.
I'm gonna do with them.
This is what bullying does. I choose to keep this private, but we can't do it anymore. We try to be as strong and positive as possible and only share the highlights, but this is how bullying affects a 9-year-old kid. And I've got to constantly keep my eye on him because of the suicide attempts. This is what bullying does, people. So any suggestions or advice would be greatly appreciated. So we're over dealing with this every single day of our lives.
The stream was intended to be a call to action, demonstrating the effects of bullying firsthand in hopes of raising awareness. As you could probably already guess, the video quickly went viral, accumulating over 17 million views within the following 2 days. Soon, an outpour of support came from across the globe as celebrities voiced solidarity with the boy. The hashtags Be Kind, Stand with Quaden, and Stop Bullying began trending, as the video sparked international discussion over the treatment of disabled people. The next day, Yarika did an exclusive interview with the Australian-based NITV, in which she elaborated further on what exactly had transpired. She claimed the harassment by classmates was so intense that Quaden had already begun refusing to attend school. In fact, he only went that day because he learned the city's professional basketball team would be visiting. The bullying she had witnessed occurred while the students were in line to receive autographs, meaning Quaden had been humiliated in front of his idols. Due to similar harassment in the past, he'd been mostly homeschooled, which they would likely return to moving forward. She also revealed that he first attempted to end his own life at just the age of 6, and since then had been constantly attempting with some very close calls. Thankfully, with the public now on his side, the boy's mood was on the upswing. That weekend, Quaden was invited to lead his favorite rugby team out onto the field for a National All-Stars game. Then Brad Williams, a comedian suffering from the same growth disorder, began a GoFundMe to send Quaden to Disneyland. With a goal of $10,000, it accumulated nearly 50 times that amount. The generosity was overwhelming, as things only appeared to be looking up for the Bayles family. However, with such universal acclaim, one can only imagine how much scrutiny was waiting in the wings. Even though the boy's mother announced that all the excess donations would be going towards charity, many became convinced that the entire ordeal had been orchestrated to exploit others' kindness. This began when information started circulating across the internet that seemed to paint a different narrative than one of victimhood. It was first discovered that Quaden had active profiles on actor websites, including one titling him as a model and influencer. Images also began to surface of Quaden supposedly flexing his wealth, and perhaps most bafflingly, celebrating his 18th birthday. All of these rumors would be compiled neatly into a viral Facebook post. It reads as follows: "Just so you know, he scammed everybody. He's 18, has plenty of money, and yeah, everybody fell for it. Now if I'm wrong, please source your link and explain why to me. He's an Instagram celebrity and deleted captions pertaining to his 18th birthday post. Indeed, Quaden had quite a sizable Instagram account, which following the rumors became flooded with hateful comments, chastising him and his mother for being scam artists. As a result, the account was privated, which was only taken as an admission of guilt in the eyes of armchair detectives. The phrase "he's 18" even began trending on Twitter, as one journalist speculated he could have been coached to say those things no 9-year-old would say. The backlash became too much for the Bayles family, who instead of engaging chose to delete their entire presence from social media. With such widespread discussion and support, it begged the question, was there any truth to the claims that this was all a hoax done by an adult posing as a young child? Well, while an amazing story, there is no truth to it. Firstly, the Star Now profile, which many pointed to as proof that Quaden was an actor, blatantly contradicts the rumor, explicitly clarifying that he was only 8 years old at the time of making the account. Secondly, the image purported to be him celebrating adulthood didn't actually depict that at all, having been taken at a cousin's 18th birthday party, celebrating the relative's special day. Finally, Quaden and his mother are both Australian Aboriginals, and as a result have made many public appearances campaigning for social reform in regards to their identity. Because of this, there is a massive back catalog of social media posts and even television appearances, all consistently aligned to his real date of birth. To put it simply, the rumor was entirely unfounded, something the author of the viral image even admitted to when confronted. Unfortunately, after a certain point, the mob was beyond reason, as they continued to perpetrate the absurd conspiracy that Quaden was an adult posing as an elementary school student for the purpose of a payday and free trip to Disney. Eventually, the Bayles family declined the fundraise vacation entirely, instead asking to have the full amount donated to charity. They reasoned that while it was a touching gesture, the money would be better spent towards the community. To this day, memories of the ordeal are tainted with the notion that it was a scam, though it wasn't entirely a loss. That summer, the family filed a defamation suit against Miranda Devine, one of the columnists who helped perpetuate the hoax. They received over $200,000 later that year in a settlement. Things didn't end there, as Yarika also began lobbying for legislation to be introduced that would help protect students from at-school bullying. Quaden also wound up returning to social media a year later, this time with dreams of becoming a TikTok star. Hopefully, now that the dust has settled, people will return to being more sympathetic to the young boy's struggles. Unfortunately, this is not the only story where a bullying victim ended up getting attacked by the internet. We'll learn more about another eerily similar case after a brief word from our sponsor. 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. While it may just start off with a little bit of thinning in the front, if you don't do anything about it, there is a very high likelihood that it will get worse. This is where Keeps comes into the picture. The great thing is there are clinically proven treatments out there that will help with this problem. And with Keeps, a licensed doctor will review your information online and recommend the right treatment plan for you. Then the products will be shipped directly to your door every 3 months, and if there's ever a problem, your Keeps doctor is available 24/7 to answer questions. I really do respect this company for coming out here and informing men that there is something they can do about their hair loss. Just remember that prevention is key, and the faster you get on these FDA-approved medications, the more hair you can save. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/GFM or click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. That's keeps.com/GFM. Our next story brings us to the United States in Knoxville, Tennessee. One afternoon in early December of 2017, Mother Kimberly Jones was asked by her son Keaton to be picked up from school during what would have normally been his lunch period. Concerned, she arrived and asked the 11-year-old why he wanted to leave so early. The middle schooler revealed that 5 of his classmates had been bullying him so badly that he didn't feel safe anymore. This was not only because they mocked his appearance, but also had assaulted him and in one instance even poured milk on his head and shoved food down his clothes. While he tried to ignore the harassment, that morning one of the bullies warned that he was going to be attacked. As she listened to her son in distress, it became clear that Keaton had been stewing on the dilemma for quite some time. Because of the school's inability to stop the abuse, she felt it would be valuable to record some of his thoughts to spark discussion on Facebook.
Just out of curiosity, why do they bully? What's the point of it? Why do you find joy in taking innocent people and finding a way to be mean to them? It's not okay. People that are different don't need to be criticized about it. It's not their fault. But if you are made fun of, just don't let it bother you. Just stay strong, I guess. It's hard. But it'll probably get better one day.
Accompanying the video, Kimberly wrote the caption, "My kids are by no stretch perfect, and at home he's as all boy as they come, but by all accounts he's good at school. Talk to your kids. I've even had friends of mine tell me kids were only nice to him to get him to mess with people. We all know how it feels to want to belong, but only a select few know how it feels not to belong anywhere." As was the case with Quaden, with such an honest message and heart-to-heart delivery, Keaton's testimony struck a chord amongst viewers, causing it to spread like wildfire across social media. Within the first day alone, it accumulated nearly 20 million views, as droves gathered in support. Soon, even celebrities began to express how moved they were by Keaton's speech, ranging from artists like Snoop Dogg and Chris Brown, to Hollywood actors such as Mark Ruffalo and Mark Hamill. Captain America himself even invited the young lad and his mother to Los Angeles to attend the world premiere for Avengers: Infinity War. "Stay strong, Keaton," he wrote on Twitter. "Don't let them turn you cold. I promise it gets better." And as typical of these situations, a GoFundMe was created by a third party intended to be used for Keaton's future education. Over the next 2 days, it would accumulate nearly $60,000 in donations. But just as quickly as Keaton's story became a viral hit, things started to turn awry, as new information came to light that led many to become less enthusiastic in their support, as the cancel culture train came into town. You see, people began digging through Kimberly's Facebook account and discovered old photos in which she appeared to proudly display the Confederate flag. Other posts from the mother expressed divisive political opinions, such as the dismissal of protests against police brutality. One reads, "Dear butthurt Americans, if you aren't bleeding, no bones are sticking out, and you can breathe, stop crying." But the digging didn't end at the mom's social media. Further sleuthing revealed his father to be an incarcerated man named Shaun White. Member to a white supremacist prison gang, he was covered in tattoos, with some reading pure breed as well as white pride. Of course, many were quick to point out that the actions of Keaton's family shouldn't reflect on him. One of the most outspoken was Patton Oswalt, who stated, "Keaton didn't get to choose the family that raised and shaped him. Keaton's a little kid. His family hasn't allowed him any real perspective yet." Additionally, it was also pointed out that the household no longer had any contact with the racist father. This was the consequence of an incident in 2008 in which he was found guilty of aggravated assault against Kimberly. In case there was any doubt the bullied boy wasn't close to his father, arrest records further allege that he threatened to kill the adolescent and wished death upon his son when he was only 7 years of age. Regardless of the truth, it was too late to salvage their reputation in the eyes of the public mob, with some going as far as to start bullying the boy themselves. People began rescinding their support, canceling their donations, and Keaton even had his invitation to the Avengers revoked. As more and more people stopped giving Keaton's family the benefit of the doubt, suspicion arose that there may have been more to the original story. In an interview interview with the local press, the principal of the middle school stated that bullying wasn't as rampant as the video would have you believe. This quote was used to bolster the narrative that Keaton may have somehow instigated the conflict, and the described bullying was actually justified retribution. The most popular rumors online slandered the 11-year-old boy by claiming he used racial epithets against black students. However, no evidence ever surfaced to suggest this was true. Regardless, this was enough for many to take the bully's side and start ridiculing his appearance as a sort of ill-conceived form of justice. On top of the accusations of racism, Kimberly was also accused of exploiting her son for profit, with critics pointing to an Instagram account attempting to raise money under her name. This was later proven to be an imposter, hence its eventual suspension from the platform. In contrast, Keaton's actual mother issued a statement clarifying that they had no intention of collecting any of the money raised through the GoFundMe, instead requesting it be given to one or more verified anti-bullying campaigns. Interestingly, although she privated her Facebook account after the backlash, Kimberly seemed relatively unfazed by the turn. When asked about the eyebrow-raising screenshots from her account, she states the posts weren't actually opinions and simply an attempt at ironic humor. Kimberly even went so far as to claim she'd been judged most of her life for not being racist. Regardless of what the truth may have actually been, the Jones family seemed to be largely content, not having asked for fanfare in the first place. In a later interview, Keaton continued to reflect positively, stating that it made him feel like he'd accomplished something real. Indeed, because of his speech, his middle school decided to hold an anti-bullying assembly that month, showing that at the very least, he'd achieved what he wanted to in spite of the backlash. I think the moral of this story is that even though the internet does like building people up, they sure do enjoy tearing people down even more. And with that thought, I think I'll end the video here. So until next time, thanks for watching.